My name is Carl Adams. I'm the wrestling coach at Boston University. This tape is the fourth tape in the series of wrestling technique tapes that I have put together. This tape will cover riding and pinning techniques. My partner today will be Coach Good. Steve Good is the assistant wrestling coach at Boston University, and he's going to be helping me out with this tape. The first thing we're going to cover are some basic concepts of riding and controlling the bottom man. When a man is on the bottom, the key thing that you want to think about is controlling his hips. If you can control his hips, for the most part, you're going to be in control. What you want to think about also is keeping your hips above his for the most part. There will be times, however, when your hips will go down to the mat in certain pinning or riding situations. But for the most part, you want to try to keep your hips above his, and as much as possible, make him carry your weight. A lot of the times, when the top man is riding, the bottom man will start to move, and rather than move with the bottom man, the top man will just stay where he is and try to control this man with just his arms. The top man has to get in the habit of moving his feet. That way, you're going to be able to maintain better control as the bottom man starts to move. I'll give you for instance. If the top man doesn't sit out, it starts to turn in. A lot of times, the top man will stay here and try to control the man in this position. What I need to do here is move my feet and regain control. By moving my feet, I will be able to get my weight back on top and get my hips above his. You're also in a better situation to control his hips. So, get the habit of moving your feet as he starts to move. Again, he starts to sit out and turn in, right here. A good drill for that is a drill that many young wrestlers, as well as college wrestlers, do in the practice room. This is called your spinning drill. Basically, all we're doing here is putting our chest on this man's back and working on moving our feet this way. And we're moving in both directions. Similar to a situation that takes place when you're wrestling on your feet in the top position are part of your base. And sometimes you're going to have to move your feet to maintain better control. The first things that we're going to cover here is various breakdowns. And the first one we're going to do is a very basic breakdown from a referee's position. From here, the first thing we're going to do is just a near arm chop. When I chop this arm, one thing that I do that I think helps me break this man down to the mat is that as I chop, I'm going to rotate his hips towards me with this waist arm, this way. Now, once I've done that, I can shift my hips over top and get the control I need. Start looking for half Nelsons, or if this man rolls back to his base position, I can put myself in a position to possibly pick up a bar arm. Okay, again, watch what I do. Okay, you have your waist control. From here, we're going to chop the near arm in, we're going to pull it in, and as we drive him to the mat, we're not going to drive straight forward. What we're going to do is drive his hips to the mat first by doing this type of motion. As you do that, what you have to do is move away slightly to give him a little space to fall. Watch again. When I chop here, boom. Now, once I get him to this position, I'm going to drive forward. I would like to drive him up over the arm. Once I get him in this position, again, you're looking for your one-on-ones or two-on-one situations, or possibly bar arms, or different holds that you can get in order to turn him towards his back. Okay. That's your basic near arm chop. Another breakdown along the same lines is what we call a head pry. What you're doing here is just simply sliding this elbow arm hand down to his wrist, and you're going to try to turn his palm up. As you do that, you're going to put your head in his armpit right here and pry him over to the mat. Now, once you get him down in here, you want to try to control his shoulder on the mat with your head. At a certain point, you're going to have to bring your head up and start working into a pinning combination or some way that you're going to be able to turn this man towards his back. One of the easiest things to do once you get a man broken down in this position is to go right into a bar arm situation. So he's going down here, and here, we just slip right into a bar arm situation. Okay, other ways that you can break this man down by attacking the top part of his body is by doing what we call a cross face, forearm, far ankle. Right from referee's position, we go across his face to his far shoulder, and then we attack the far ankle. Now from here, you pull both of them in, and you drive with your chest. You drive him over to his side. The closer you can put his back to the mat, the better chance you have of turning this man towards his back and working yourself into a pinning situation. Another way to do that is to go under his armpit and grab the forearm. Here and here. The thing that you have to watch out for here is this bottom man rolling from this position. You may chop down and roll. So you may have to position your body more towards the front as you reach across to take this forearm. You reach across, you grab his forearm, far ankle, and drive. Straight towards his back. You can also go forearm, near ankle by simply just doing this and this. We take the near ankle and we lift and we drive him up that way. Again, you can do it from a cross-face situation, or you can come under his armpit and do it this way. Again, watch out for the roll on this side. Under his armpit, forearm, near ankle, lift, and take him right towards his back. Those were some basic breakdowns whereby we attack the top part of his body. Oftentimes, you're going to have trouble breaking a man down by chopping his arms or reaching across, going here, because this bottom man will move and keep a strong base. So, if you have problems by attacking the top part of his body, what you look to do is to attack his legs. What you may end up doing is attacking the arms and the legs. But here are a couple of things that may help you break a man down to the mat. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is do what we call a 2-on-1 on his knees. And what you're doing here, okay, is just coming from this position. Your head goes inside, you reach through, you grab his far ankle with the inside hand and the outside hand. Now, on this particular technique, the positioning of the head is important. You want to keep your head to the inside. So from here, you come down, you roll through, and drive him to the mat. A nice takeoff from this position would be to go right into your Navy right position. You move your body across his body, sink the elbow to the mat, and you lift up on the leg. In this situation, you control his inside leg on your knee, and you control him here. From here, you're looking for your half Nelson, or reverse Nelson, or some type of pinning combination. Okay, so that's one way that you can attack the legs. You can also, rather than go inside here, you can also grab across this far knee this way, like this. Now, with that type of breakdown, you don't necessarily need to have your head to the inside. It's not a bad idea to put your head to the inside, but you really don't need to. So from here, we go here and here. Now we just pull this in tight and drive him towards his hip. Obviously, you try to keep him back towards his back as much as possible. You know, you may move up and start looking for a half Nelson in that situation. Another breakdown that I really like from the referee's position that involves attacking his legs is what I call a freestyle breakdown. And the way that you get yourself into this particular breakdown is simply by coming from referee's position into an outside knee block. What you're going to do is use your inside knee to block his inside leg. Now, if you noticed, what I did from the start is go across his back with my arm. As I'm doing that, the inside knee slides in, right here. Now, what you want to do is control his hips by keeping your inside leg in front of his. Now from here we just reach down, we grab the ankle, make sure you keep as much of your weight on his back as possible. From here we pull up on the ankle and drive his leg back to break him down. This is an excellent situation to control this man in, as well as work into a leg ride situation. Okay, so from here, what we're doing is keeping control of this ankle. Now the key to keeping this man broken down is to keep your leg under his. If he can get his leg off there, now he has a chance to regain his base and come back to a referee's position. Okay, watch again. So from here, from referee's position, we go across his back. This side goes in immediately, right off the bat. Now, we go down, we take the ankle, we pull up on it, and we jam his inside leg, and we take it back, right down to the back. Now, once you get him in this situation, if you're a leg man, in order to put the legs on, all you need to do is drape over his inside leg, pull it over like that, and now you're in a position so that you can put the legs in. I think that is an excellent way to break the opposition down by attacking the legs, because it opens up different options. Another way that you can attack the bottom man is by going into what we call a Turk lift. That's done by simply removing yourself from over this man and taking his near leg. You come down here, and when you catch it, when you start, you may catch him above the knee, okay? And what you want to do is just lift that leg up, straight up in the air. From here, what you can do is come straight to your feet with that leg up in the air, or you can come up with one knee, your outside knee. Now from here, what we're going to do is just control his back. We're going to step inside and put that leg. If you're going into what we call a Turk lift, you want to be careful not to lose this man. So as soon as you come off, you want to come down and around the leg. From here, as I said before, you can come all the way up to your feet. Now once you get to this position, be careful so that the bottom man does not come back and grab your leg. Make sure that you don't expose that leg too much. If he starts to come back, you may need to move your foot. From here, we can lift high here, go across his back, step, and hook his leg. That can also be done by simply just bringing one knee up. Again, from here, we go right down to the leg, we pick the leg up. Now from here, we go across his back, put pressure on it, and to stabilize him, hook it, and you're into a Turk ride position. Now what we're going to do is get ourselves into some breakdowns and bar arm situations. The bar arm is an excellent way to turn the bottom man. As a matter of fact, I would say it's one of the most common moves that you'll see from the top man when he's working to pin the bottom man. The first thing you need to do is get the bottom man broken down to the mat. And you can do it various ways that we just showed before. Personally, I like this near arm chop situation. Chop his arm, rotate his hips to the mat. Now what will happen? He'll probably go belly down. When he does that, right now, I find that one of the easiest ways to get myself into a bar arm situation is just by controlling this near arm. Many times, wrestlers think that they can't just pull this thing back. But if you just hook it right here and pull it hard, like that, a lot of times you'll be able to slip your bar arm in. Okay, once you get this bar arm in, there's a couple things you need to take notice of. Number one, you want to make sure that you get your body between his arm and his rib cage. Oftentimes, this is what will happen. This arm will slip down here, and you'll start to turn, and somehow he'll slip this arm out, and you'll lose your bar arm. By keeping your body between the arm and his rib cage, now, not only are you going to get more leverage, but you're going to make it more difficult for him to take his arm out. Another thing that will happen if this arm slips down is that when you start to turn this man, he will purposefully put his own arm up on his back. Now, the referee's in a situation where he may have to call potentially dangerous. So, remember, keep your body between his rib cage and the arm. Now, once you get control of this arm, we're going to move up as close to his shoulder as we can get so that we can get maximum pressure on this arm when we start to turn him over. So if possible, you would like to get above his elbow. Above his elbow. And at all costs, you want to keep your body between the rib cage and his arm. Okay, now, once you get your body positioned and you get up as close as you can to his shoulder, the first thing you think about doing is somehow trapping this far arm. Because this is his brace. If I start to turn him, he's going to use this arm to brace out and stop himself from being turned over. So this is what happens a lot of the times. He'll stick his hand out and just block that way. So what we need to do here is just reach out, grab the wrist, and pull it in close to the body. Just like that. Okay, again. Just reach out, grab it, and pull it in. Now, what we want to do is take this forearm, move up and over, and trap that arm. That's on this first technique that we're getting ready to show. So from here, now, when we start to turn, what we want to do is drive his shoulder towards his ear. You walk up towards his head, and one thing you don't want to do when you're running a bar arm is get in a hurry, because you'll set yourself up to be rolled. So we trap this arm here. Now we start to drive his shoulder towards his ear. Now, as you start to rotate around his body, what you want to do is gradually drop your weight back this way. Just drop your weight back this way. Now, you just gradually walk around his head this way. Now, once you get here, you can go under his head, into his armpit, or into a half Nelson situation. The arm on this side is trapped in, and you want to keep that arm trapped in nice and tight. Again, you're down in here. You can go reverse Nelson here, or into a half Nelson situation. You can also, as you're going around, just stay right over his head and control this arm here, and stay in this position. Okay, again. Okay, we break him down. Okay, put your bar in on him. Okay, now, once you get your bar in, again, keep your body between the rib cage and the arm. He sticks the arm out to brace. We're going to reach out. We're going to pull it in. It's important to keep this shoulder trapped in, because as you start to run your bar, he's going to keep moving this way to keep you from turning. So what we want to do is keep this shoulder trapped in. All right, now, we're going to drive this shoulder towards his ear. We're going to keep this shoulder trapped to the mat. So from here, we drive, and you drop your weight back as you start to walk around his head. Right here. All right, now, you can stop here, work for your pin, or rotate all the way around and go reverse Nelson into a pinning combination. Okay, some other things that you can do once you get a bar on the bottom man is underhook the other side. Again, oftentimes you'll start to run your bar and he'll stick an arm out or brace up, trying to push himself back to his base. Okay, now when that happens, we're going to underhook this arm right here. And there's two ways you can take this underhook. You can hook it with just your hand here, or you can go deep. You can go elbow deep. In any case, you want to pull it back close to his body. Now from here, again, we're going to make sure that we keep the body between his rib cage and the arm. Now from here, we start to turn. You get your body turned back up top again, and we just walk around his head, keeping this arm tight. Okay, let's turn back over. Again, we're elbow deep. Keep your body between the rib cage and the arm. We pull it back tight, and we turn belly up, and we start to walk around his head. Again, as I start to move, as you watch, you'll see his shoulder going towards his ear. That puts a lot of pressure on his shoulder. Now we drive, and we take him over towards his back. There is another technique that we can use from the same bar situation. Okay, again, we have the bottom man broken down. We have have our bar arm in on him, and again he's posting out. Okay, the first thing that we did with the unhook was go elbow deep and pull his arm back in close to his body. This time, all we're going to go is wrist deep. Okay, now from here, what we're going to do is rotate up to our knees, from here to here. If you notice, I'm driving my body up towards his shoulders as I do that. Once we get to this position, I'm going to lift the arm up and put my elbow in his back. If you notice, I'm still on my knees, and this is a key to this particular technique. Okay, we're going to pull back on this arm and drive the shoulder up that way. When you do that, it puts a torque right down the midline of his back, and he's in a position so that he has to turn. So I start to drive that way. Once you get him to a certain point, he should end up flopping right over to his back, like that. Straight up and down. Okay, again. Okay, we have in the bar arm here. Now, rather than go elbow deep, you just want to take him with the hand. Now from here, we're going to rotate up to the knees and move up towards his shoulder, keeping your body between the rib cage and his arm. Now, from your wrist deep grip, you're going to take your elbow and put it in his back. You're still on your knees. The bottom man is still broken down. Now you start to move towards his head, and you put a torque right down the midline of his back. Once you get to this position here, just hop over and keep the arm tight, and he should be in a pinning situation. Okay, the next thing we're going to work on is one-on-one wrist control situations. And we're going to get into this from the rotary breakdown. This is another way that you can break a man down to the mat, and an excellent way to get into one-on-one wrist rides or a two-on-one wrist ride situation. Okay, the rotary breakdown is done by taking your elbow hand and putting it on his chest. What you're going to be doing with this arm is driving his elbow forward, this way, just like that. As you do that, you're going to use your other hand or forearm to drive his hips towards the mat, this way. You're going to do both of those movements at the same time so that you get his hips to the mat and you drive the top part of his body in a circle that way. So from here, we're going to come here, we go with the forearm right into his hip, and we rotate him around in a circle, this way. Once we get him here, we drive forward. Once you drive forward, you want to go into a one-on-one wrist ride or a two-on-one wrist ride. Okay, from here, you take the one-on-one wrist ride and you want to drive him up over his arm, this way, so that you have him broken down to the mat. Now, there are a few things that you can do from this position to turn him towards his back. But the thing that you want to do first is concentrate on controlling his shoulder. At first, it's okay for him to have his wrist trapped under his own body. You keep your weight on him, and you move your body up towards his shoulder. If you notice, I'm up on my toes. This way, you can keep a maximum amount of weight on top of his back and on top of his body. Okay, once you get to this position here, the first turn that we're going to work on is a turn whereby, let's rotate a little bit in a circle this way, is a turn whereby we reach under with the free hand and we try to pull his hand out from under his body. Now, in order to do that, you want to keep a lot of weight right on his shoulder. You're going to keep the weight on his shoulder with your upper elbow, right here. So if his arm is under his body here, you want to keep your weight here. You're up on your toes. Now, with this hand, you reach under. The back part of your hand should slide along the mat, this way. If you can grab his hand, you don't pull it up, but you pull it straight out. Now from here, you're going to take this hand and put it up on his back, just like that. And rotate up. You should be able to end up in this situation. Now, once you do that, what we're going to do is control it with one hand. Just like this. You can get up and control it with this hand. Now from here, we're going to take the other hand and wrap right around his head. Okay, let's turn around in a circle a little bit. What we're doing? Okay, you're controlling this on his back. Okay, you're going to release. Take your other hand, take your elbow and put it right along the side of his head. What you're trying to do is underhook this arm on this side. In order for that to happen, you need to take his head and drive it along the mat that way. Many times that will cause this elbow to pop up. Now you're going to take that free hand and thread it through, just like that. When you thread it through, you want to make sure you do it forcefully so that you can get to his other wrist. Okay, from here, boom, you slide it through and you take his wrist. Now, you're going to walk around his head here so that you end up in this type situation. Once you get to here, what we're going to do is reach down and grab his chin. Now, to drive him towards his back, you don't just drive over this way. You're not going to get the leverage you need. It's always best to pick him up in the air first, now turn him towards his back. Keep control of his wrist and put him into a pinning situation. Okay. That's one way to turn a man once you get him broken down in a one-on-one wrist situation. Something else that you can do once you have him broken down in this situation is come around and block his head with your knee. Now, when you're controlling this arm in this situation here, oftentimes the bottom man will try to work himself back up to his base. And here's a little technique you can use to keep him broken down. Okay, you're here, he starts to come back to his base, get back to his base. What you do is go right in his rear, here, and you just drive him around in a circle this way. You keep a lot of weight on his shoulder, and you just pull him around in a circle to break him back down to the mat. Okay, now from here, what we're going to do is we're going to control his upper arm with this elbow again, and we're going to step around his head with this outside knee here, like that. Now, notice that caused his body to turn in the opposite direction. So, you have his wrist in this situation here. What you're going to do is slide your wrist up to his upper arm, just like this. You want to make sure you keep his head blocked in towards the inside. You may need to pinch his head this way with your knee. That causes him to turn even more. Okay, now, once you get him here, what you do with this elbow, okay, and let's turn just a little bit so they can see what we're doing, is you pull it straight to your chest, just like this. If you notice, that turns him up on his side. As soon as that happens, we're going to thread this through, rotate your hips to the other side. You want to keep this arm blocked in with your head. The hip rotation is important. Once you get to here, we're going to come in with a half Nelson, take it towards the back. Touch that. Good chest on chest. Okay, again, just to run through it real quickly. Okay. You're into your one-on-one wrist ride situation here. And the first thing we're going to do is step around his head. Right here. Boom. Now you're going to pitch his head towards the wrist that you're controlling with that knee. This way. As you do that, you're going to come from the wrist control up to his elbow. You take both hands and you pull his elbow straight into your chest. Okay, let's turn this way. Pull his elbow here, straight into your chest. Now, you slide this through, rotate your hip down, keep his arm blocked in with your head. Now from here, we're just going to come back around, lift his head out, put in a nice tight half Nelson. Those are some of the things that you can do from a one-on-one wrist ride. The next thing we're going to do is work on something we call cheap tilts. Cheap tilts are a good way to pick up 2, and in some cases 3 points. In most cases, you're not going to pin a man with a tilt. However, you can pick up 2 or 3 points and expend the minimum amount of effort. The first one we're going to do is what we call a deep waist tilt. Okay, from this position here, what we're going to do is just chop this near arm in, right here, and control his waist. In order to tilt this man up, the key to any tilt is to be able to control his hips, or control the inside of his body here. So, as we start to chop and control the tight waist, we're going to move our body around in a circle this way so that we pull him up this way. Now, in order to take this man up a point, we're going to have him up on top of our hips. Now, oftentimes the key to taking a man out up is the way that you elevate his leg, right here. Basically, all we're doing is controlling him with this elevation leg. We're controlling his hips, and we're controlling the near arm. You have to watch him rocking back and forth. You don't want to let him kick across your body so that he ends up on top. Okay. So, again, this is a near arm chop, deep waist tilt. Okay, from here, you control the waist. You chop the arms. Again, the key is to step around in front. Now, you're going to rock him up on your hip. As you do that, you're doing what we call loading him up. Now, you elevate him up towards his back. You control his hip here, control his leg, and you keep the inside knee pointed to the sky. This inside knee helps to control his hips. Okay, let's show you what the inside knee is doing here. Let's turn this way. Again, tight waist, near arm chop. As you do that, this knee comes in front, right here. This inside knee points towards the sky. That's important. That keeps him locked in. Control this leg with this ankle, right here. That's one of the ways that you can tilt a man up and get some quick points. Another way that you can control this man in a cheap tilt situation is to go from a 2-on-1. From here, you want to control this wrist tight to his body. The key is to eliminate the body space between you and him. And as we did before, you want to control this man's hips as you take him up. So to start with, if you can get this 2-on-1 situation here, you want to be tight. Now, watch what I do with this outside knee. We're going to step around in front here. Now, as we do that, again, we're going to lock him up and control him right here. We're going to control this leg, we're going to control his hips here, and control this 2-on-1 situation. From here, you just control him here, and you should pick up back points. A lot of the way that you control this man is done with this wrist, this 2-on-1 wrist control. Okay? Let's watch from the other side. Watch what the inside leg does. Watch what we do with this wrist control. Okay, from here, you have a 2-on-1 situation. Now from here, we're going to step around in front with this inside knee. Now you pull him up onto your hip and elevate here. Keep this tight. Control this leg. From here, you rock him and control him with this 2-on-1. Okay. That's one way that you can take him up with a 2-on-1 wrist ride. Now, oftentimes, if this bottom man is pretty good, he's going to defend against your 2-on-1 tilt. So we're going to show you a little technique that you can use to take him to the other side. Okay. So we have a 2-on-1 tilt here, and we start to take him up, and he fights the opposite hip down. Opposite hip down. He goes down that way, and you're going to have trouble taking him up. So now, when that happens, what we're going to do is step to the other side with your other knee. We can't take him this way. Now, we come over his body, just like this. We lock his hips in. Now from here, we're going to pull him tight this way and just rotate him that way once we get him over. Again, my inside knee is pointed towards the sky. I have this wrist control, and I'm using my legs to control him and elevate him towards his back. Okay, watch again. This is a technique that you use when you're having trouble taking the man the way that you want to take him. Okay, you have your 2-on-1 ride situation. Okay, you start to take him, and he goes opposite hip down. And you're trying to take him, and you can't take him over. You keep your 2-on-1. Now, you bring this knee across his body here. Now, as you rock him up, he's right between your legs. Now, you just roll him over that way. You control him with the 2-on-1. Elevate him up, and control him for back points. Okay, another way that you can tilt a man with a cheap tilt situation can be done from a leg riding situation. It's a nice, easy way to get quick points. And it's done by sticking your leg in. Oftentimes, leg riders will be in this position, and they're having trouble breaking the man down or putting him in a position where they can pick up points. From here, let's turn something and face the camera. Okay, all we're going to do is grab this shoulder here, grab his ankle, just like that. We're going to use this foot to push off, and we're going to rock him back, just like that. And all we need to do is control this and this. It looks simple, and it looks like it might not even work. But this is an excellent way to turn a man over and hold him for back points. Okay, again. You have your leg in on him. All you're doing is controlling his near shoulder, just like that. We're going to reach down and control his ankle. From here, let's turn around and face the camera a little bit. We're going to push off of this foot and just push back and control his shoulder. Keep this ankle, keep your leg in, and control him for back points. The next segment of this tape will be on leg riding and pinning techniques. I found that one of the easier ways to teach young wrestlers how to put the legs in is to have the bottom man come to a front sit position. Okay, once he comes to a front sit position, what the top man is going to be doing is just coming under both arms. From here, we're going to step up with the leg, step in, and have him rotate back to his base position. He rotates back to his base. As he does that, he comes up to his knees, and he's up in a base position. Now, as he came to his base position, what I tried to do was get as far over his body as I could be. Part of riding the legs involves keeping your body across his body as far as you can get. Anytime this near arm comes over this shoulder here, or you get in a situation where your hips, let's turn a little bit and face the camera, the other way. When your hips start to slide down, you're going to start to get yourself in trouble. Defensively, the bottom man wants to try to get my hip towards the mat, this way. So, let's turn around. What the top man needs to try to do is to keep his body over as far as possible. This is important. As I said before, you don't want to have this near arm here draped over his shoulder. All the bottom man has to do now is reach up, grab that arm, pull down on it, and you're going to slide right off, and he's going to be in a position to get the reversal. So, as we come up over his body, as a general rule of thumb, we always want to try to keep our hips higher than his. Keep your hips on top. This is even true when you're working for pinning situations. My hips should always be facing the mat and above his. If you're riding a man up top this way, you want to get as far over his body as you can get. Some wrestlers like to drape around and figure four this leg. I would prefer not to figure four that leg. I like to leave this leg loose here so that if the bottom man tries to hip into me this way, I can use this leg to block and keep myself up top. You can also use this leg to break this bottom man down to his far hip by swinging it across this way. Now, you've broken him down into a position so that you might be able to work into a pinning situation. So again, for wrestlers that are just learning how to put the legs in, to get into the leg riding position, just to get the feel of it, again, you have the bottom man sit, you come underneath both arms, we step in this way, just like that. Now, we're going to have the bottom man rotate to his base. As he does that, we're going to come all the way across, keeping our hips up higher than his and staying over his body as far as we can get. That's important. This position is important. Hips higher than his and over his body as far as you can get. This way you're going to maintain maximum control and make him carry all of your weight. Now I'm going to cover some other ways that you can put the legs in on a bottom man. The first one is just by hooking his near ankle, just like that. From a near ankle hook, all we're going to do is use this, slide it back. Now, to put the legs in, we're going to come inside with this arm, and as we do that, we're going to step up and put the legs in to get over his body. This way. Okay, you want to come up to your knees? Okay, this way. So we hook his ankle, we block his forearm, and we get over his body. Okay, again. Hook his far ankle here, near ankle. You slide it back. You block here. As you stick it in this way, you slide your body up, and you get open his body. Just like this. As far as you can get. Okay, another way that you can put the legs in, and this is not the most effective way, but oftentimes a wrestler that's a good leg wrestler can get away with pulling a man on top. This goes somewhat against the rules that we just talked about, but from here, it's a matter of blocking a man down this way. As he rolls through, you put the legs in, and you roll up top this way. That way. Okay, again. Basically, what you're doing with that type of leg ride situation is putting yourself in somewhat of a scrambling situation and recognizing that this man's on top and that you have to take him back across. So from here, we're going to pull him on top. As he comes on top, we throw the leg in, then we rotate back to the top. We get across his body as far as we can once we come up top. Another way to get the legs in on this man is from what we call the freestyle breakdown. Okay, again, and we went through this just a little while ago. What we're going to do is come across this body with this near arm here. The knee goes inside. You pull up on his far knee and pop this inside leg out. From here, you pop it out and drive him forward. Now, once you get him to this position, you're going to hook over his leg, slide it out, and rotate your body up top. Rotate your body up top, this way. Now, the bottom man may stay broken down in this position, or he may come back to his face. In any case, we want to make sure that we stay over his body. Once you have the legs in, and the bottom man is up in his base position, you should first try to break him down flat to the mat. So that's what we're going to do first. We're going to show you a few ways that you can break this man down to the mat flat and then work for your turn. Okay, we'll turn this way just a little bit. Okay, we have the legs in. The first thing we're going to do here is take this far ankle. To break him down, we're going to take this free arm, we're going to post his knee that way as we pull up on the ankle. As we pull up on the ankle, we're going to drive the hips into him and drive him forward. So we post here and we take him that way. We break him down. All right, now, once you get him broken down to the mat, again, you want to make sure that your hips are facing the mat and you got your body over him. Okay, another thing that you want to take notice of once this man is broken down, and we'll turn this way. Let's turn all the way around. This side facing the camera. Okay. Once he's broken down here, a couple things you want to try to do. One is this leg on this side, the one that you have in, you want to have the knee pointed towards the outside so that you're this way as opposed to having the knee in. By pointing your knee to the outside, you're going to be able to get more leverage when you start your turns. The other thing you want to have in this situation is hip elevation, your hips above his. The third thing is you want to be as high on his thigh as you can get. The higher you can get up around his hip, the more leverage you're going to have once you start to turn this man towards his back. Okay. The second way that you can break this man down is by what we call just leveraging his ankle. Okay, let's turn this way. Okay, from this situation here, what we're going to do is just hook right behind his ankle here. We're going to come behind this arm, and we're just going to drive forward on this as we drive this ankle out to the side. So we go here, just like that. Now, the knee is turned out to the side, your hips are above his, and you're in a good situation to start your turns. Let's turn this way. Another way to break this man down is by simply coming into what we call double grapes. From here, we're going to come behind this arm here, and we're going to throw the other leg in this way and just drive both legs down like that. You hook under his arms, So now you have a double leg riding situation. You hook right in his crotch here, drive behind the arm, and flatten him down to the mat. The last way to break this man down is something that we do with this free leg. Again, your body is way across his, and what you want to do is use this free leg, swing it across his body. You want to try to get him to his inside hip. So from here, you drive and you swing hard this way. Now he's down on his side. Once you get him here, then you can start working into your pinning combinations. Okay. Okay, now, once you have a man broken down to the mat, okay, he's broken down flat to the mat, you got your body over his, the knee is turned to the outside. The first thing you might want to try for is what we call a Turk hook, or a Jacob's hook. Okay, from here, you're going to get as high on his thigh as you can get. Some wrestlers don't need to figure four this leg. Some like to just have the leg in and do it with one leg. Personally, I like to figure four. From here, you're going to drive your hips in as you elevate. You want to put a lot of pressure on the small of his back and try to get him to turn over. Oftentimes, he will fight the turn. What you want to do now, let's turn this way. What you want to do now is take this arm, put it right alongside his head. Now, rather than turn his head up this way or lift it up this way to turn him, you want to put your elbow right alongside his face. Okay, let's turn a little bit more. You want to put your elbow right alongside his face. Now from here, I'm going to figure four. My knee is pointed to the outside. And you want to slide his nose right across the mat as you elevate your legs and hip into it. This way, right here. Now, that puts a lot of pressure on his back, and he almost has to turn. You notice I'm not letting his head turn up this way. That relieves the pressure. I'm driving his nose right across the mat. Once you get him to this point, now you hook the arm. You go as high up in his armpit as you can get. You get it as tight as you can get. You want to make sure that your hook is above his elbow. Now, rather than driving his shoulder down towards the mat this way, what you want to do is drive his elbow towards his ear. You want to stay posted up with this far arm, like this. Just that way. Keep the leg hooked. Post this way. If he turns in, release the leg and go into what we call double grapevines, this way. Now, once you get yourself into a double grape situation, you can release, come right here, and lock him up for the pin. Okay, again, the key, the man is broken down. Okay, from here, okay, take your elbow, drive it right alongside his face. You don't want his head to turn this way or up this way. Drive his nose straight across the mat. As you do that, elevate your hips in, elevate the leg. Once you can take the arm, you hook it up tight above his elbow. You're going to drive his elbow towards his ear this way, like that. Post up here. Now, release the leg, double grapevine, just like that. Into a pinning situation. Okay, another pinning combination that you can use once a man is broken down flat to the mat. Okay, he's broken down flat to the mat. Here is a power half. You got your legs in nice and deep. From here, what we're going to do is come under this near arm. You're going to use this forearm, and you're going to put it right behind his head, right here. Now, it's helpful if you bring this leg up to get more leverage, and you pry this way, just like that. Now, as soon as you can get to a situation where you can put your half in, you're ready to turn him. Now, once you get here, all you need to do is keep the side of his face posted on the mat. So, from here, we're coming under this arm, elbow in the back of his neck, lock your hands this way. You want to pull them back tight. You step up your drive this way. Put your half in, keep all your weight over this elbow. You want to drive that elbow towards the top of his head. Now from here, you start to turn. Now once you get him to a certain point, you can release this, take your leg out, and move into a half Nelson situation. Again, we have the legs in on him. You come under the arm, here, elbow right in his neck, lock your hands, pull it back tight. Step up with this leg, drive, put your half Nelson in. Keep the side of his face posted on the mat. That's important. Drive his elbow up towards the top of his head this way. Once you get him to a certain point, you can take the leg out, slide your body back, put a nice half Nelson in. Okay, now what we're going to do is work on turns that you can do when he's on his knees. Okay, you have your legs in here. The top man is up on his knees. And one of the most common techniques that you hear about from this position is the guillotine. Okay, let's turn a little bit that way, Steve. From here, what we want to do is take this arm. And to get this arm, what I like to do is come right over top this way. Pull it straight back and hook it here. Hook it right there. You want to stay up on your base, Steve? You hook it right here. Okay, now, from here, we're going to come down and control the wrist, and you're going to take this arm and pull it behind your head. Just like this. Now, if you can get this arm around his head before you start to go back, you're going to have a lot more control. So again, from here, we come down, we take this arm, we take it back, and we hook it. My elbow is in his back at this point. We come down, we take his wrist, we pull it up around the head and slide your entire arm and head through it. Okay, now this is important. Oftentimes, wrestlers will just put their head in. You're going to end up pinning yourself in this situation. You have to get your arm through as well as your head. Right here. Now, to take him back, we just arch. We go around the head first, and then we arch. Right here. Now, once we get here, we release the hand, come around the head, hip in, and pull the head. That's your guillotine. Something else that we can do when we put the legs in is get way over his body here, and it's from the same type technique. We're going to reach up, grab this arm again, pull it back. Once we get him here, oftentimes this man will grab his own belly to try to keep me from taking his arm up. Okay, now what I'm going to do is go through his crotch and take the wrist, just like this. From here, I'm going to post up with my trailing leg and just push off and take him towards his back. Now from here, you control him and put him into a pinning situation. You grab the arm that you hooked, control it, and control this wrist. I pushed off with this leg, pushed off and took him back. Keep the leg hooked, control this elbow. Another way to turn this man, once you have the legs in, is to go into a cradle situation. All you need to do is keep your leg in, just like you have it, go around his head and lock your hands. Once you get your hands locked, you just drive back and take him up. Oftentimes, you may not be able to pin this man because it's hard to get both shoulders down. You might need to take the leg out and just pull him this way. But you can get yourself into a cradle situation from the leg ride. Wrestlers that have the longer arms and longer legs are better built for cradles in that situation. Again, okay, we're here. We go around the head, through his crotch, and we lock hands. Crunch him up. Now from here, we take the leg, we push back, and we take him up. Here. Now, you may need to take your leg out, pull him through, in order to secure your cradle. In this situation right here. Another technique that we can use from this position is the power half. Okay? The bottom man is up in his base position. We have the legs in. From this position, what I like to do is come underneath his armpit. I like to lock my hands like such. From here, what I'm going to do is pull straight back so that I'm knifing right down this part of his shoulder. What I would like to do is pop this hand up off the mat. When that happens, I'm going to use my elbow to drive his head down towards the mat. Again, I'm going to come up under his armpit here. I'm going to lock my hands here. The first thing I'm going to do is pull straight back. When I pop this hand off the mat, I'm going to drive my elbow up towards his head and pull him over towards his back. So from here, I go right into my lock, I pull it back, pop the head, straight back towards his back. Okay, let's turn around a little bit. Okay, from here, what we're going to do is reach back, control his elbow, and push away on the head. You want to hold him here long enough to collect your points. After you get your 2 or 3 points, now we can slide up and move into a half Nelson situation. The bottom man will probably fight towards his base position that way. What you do is you keep this half Nelson in nice and tight. Now from here, we can start rotating up, and what we're trying to do is keep the side of his head pressed down on the mat. From here, we want to start taking the leg across his body. Here, a lot of pressure up towards his elbow. You're going to drive that elbow towards the top of his head, keep the side of his face pressed down on the mat. From here, we come across, and we end up in a nice half Nelson finish situation. The last technique that we're going to do is a technique that you use when you break this man down by swinging the free leg across his back. Okay, from this position here, what we're going to do is make sure that we're up over his body. We're going to swing this free leg around in a circle and send him down on his outside hip. So from here, we swing, set him down on his outside hip. Once we get him to this position, we're going to drive our elbow up under his armpit and drive him around in a circle. Now, once we get to this position, you want to make sure that you stay up on this knee. You want to make sure that you have him sitting forward and into a front sit position. Okay, now let's just turn a little bit this way. So you're driving into him this way. You're making sure that this knee is on the mat. Oftentimes, wrestlers will go down to the hip, and this will cause them to lose the technique. So from here, you stay up on the knee. Now, on the first technique, what we're going to do is drive up under this arm and go around his knee. And I call this elbow joint to knee joint. You may have to come up with this foot to push off. Drive his head down towards the mat. You drive him down as far as you can go. Elbow joint to knee joint. Now you lock your hands. From here, we're going to sit this knee under and take him straight back over. So from here, we go here and here into what we call a leg split pinning combination. Keep the hands locked tight, keep his legs spread, and drive him towards his back. Okay, again. You have the leg in here. You get way over his body. You swing this leg way around and drive him towards his outside hip. From there, you drive the elbow up under his arm until you can get him into a sitting situation. At this point, this knee should be on the mat. Again, you want to avoid going down to your outside hip. Okay, let's turn this way, Steve. Okay. Say you can't get under this elbow to do the technique that I just presented. Now, what we want to do is take our body and come up across both shoulders. This way. You can't get under this elbow, so you're going to take your body, you're going to come across both shoulders this way. His neck should be right in the crook of your armpit. You're going to drive him down again this way. You come across both shoulders. Because now his back is going to end up on the inside of your body. So you hear, his neck is in the crook of your armpit, this way. You drive him down, again, elbow joint to knee joint. From here, we pull him back, and now he's on the inside in a pinning combination. You keep his head crunched up tight. You may need to hook your own legs here, but he's on the inside of your body, and you should definitely be able to pin him in this situation. That technique will end this fourth wrestling technique tape series. I would like to thank my partners, both Steve Good and the other gentleman that helped me with the 4 tape series. I hope that these techniques will be beneficial to you, and I wish you the best of the luck in the future.